Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us at 7. I'm Tracey McCain.
I'm Caitlin Nuclo. You're watching Eyewitness News here on the Wax. We appreciate that. The big story today, of course, the weather. A first alert day for us. So let's get right over to meteorologist Scot Haney tracking that rain for us. It's been a while since we had a first alert.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a while for our next one.
Okay.
But it's today that we got to focus on. Let's take a look at First Alert Live Radar. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on the Wax. We appreciate that. 395 starting to dry out, but the damage is done for the morning commute. Everything is wet out there. We'll take you into southeast Connecticut, where we've got the rain in North Stonington, Groton, Long Point, New London. If you were watching us over on Channel 3, we ended the show with a live shot of New London. It is wet there, so be careful, okay? As a matter of fact, the rest of the state, we're dealing with some scattered showers, nothing too prolific. But as I widen out the shot, you're going to see all of this rain has to make its way through West Virginia, Pennsylvania. All of this rain has to make its way through Connecticut during the day today. And therefore, we could pick up an additional 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches in some of these embedded thunderstorms that are expected to materialize. First alert weather day today, heavy rain, flooding, storms. There is even a possibility of an isolated tornado. The probability is low, but nonetheless, it does exist. It is not non-existent. So the storm impacts heavy rain and flooding. Poor drainage flooding. There could be some isolated flash flooding due to the fact that some of these storms could slow down and train. That means stay over a certain area for a period of time. Lightning. When you see lightning, you want to head indoors. Damaging wind and embedded thunderstorms. And again, that isolated tornado. We'll take you out and show you the severe threat. We're at level 1. It's not level 5, but it's also not 0. So we need to play along accordingly, okay? Futurecast, tomorrow's weather today, spits out anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain before tonight around midnight when everything starts to wind down. That's a pretty good amount of rain for a period of time, right? And look at the rain chances today. Wow, it almost goes off the charts. But by Friday, Saturday, Sunday through Wednesday of next week, we start to dry out and get back to the nicer weather. Today, not such a great day. Muggy, rain, and storms. Temperatures between 70 and 75 degrees. Morning, Kate.
All right, good morning, Scott. Good morning, everyone. Heading out the door right now. Roads are wet. We've got some reduced visibility. It's a tricky morning commute. It's going to be, I think, an even trickier afternoon and evening commute. So make sure that you have a plan in place to get where you're going safely and slowly. First alert still following this road closure in East Windsor. Bridge Street, that's Route 140, is blocked off between Hartfield Boulevard and Gardner Street this morning, again, because of an earlier crash. We had an earlier crash in Darien along 95 northbound. That has cleared. We've got a little bit of residual delay here through this stretch, so give yourself a couple of extra minutes. You can see those headlights hitting the pavement, a little bit of shine there because things are wet. We've got some fog still hanging tough. You can see that here in Meriden, 691. This is east and westbound here. You can see that spray coming up in Windsor, right in the Windsor Locks line by the Bradley Connector. Again, this is basically what everyone is waking up to here this morning, so everyone's got to play along as you're heading out. Not doing too bad in terms of those drive times, though. Normal delays down through Fairfield County. Let's quick check at your Connecticut Chevy First Alert traffic report driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
All right, happening right now in Waterbury. Students heading back to class this morning after schools were closed yesterday because of that big water main break in the city.
But the work is far from over. Your reporter Marcy Jones walks you through some of the adjustments schools are making today.
Even though the area has running water again, impacted residents are still encouraged to boil their water before use. And schools in the district, like the one behind me, Crosby, is making some major adjustments to the way that they're preparing food. The impacted area has water back on this morning following a massive water main break on Huntington Avenue Tuesday. However, the cleanup and repairs are far from over. Crews are still flushing the system, and according to the mayor, the city's still waiting on 2 critical parts for the fix, coming from Florida and New Jersey, adding that the full repair could take a few more days. In the meantime, several impacted schools in the district will have all their food prepared off-site, and bottled water will be readily available. The city is also reminding residents who had their water completely shut off or their supply depleted significantly to boil their water and to run your faucet until water is clear before using it. And make sure you stay with us on air, online, and on our WFSB app for any critical updates for the area. Your reporter in Waterbury, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, this morning, trafficking prevention advocates are sounding the alarm about an increase in online trafficking, and those numbers include children. 3 young girls are now back home and safe after a months-long investigation into trafficking in Hartford. Police arrested 7 suspects, and they say more arrests could be coming. A staggering fact this morning. In the past 3 years, the number of trafficking investigations in Connecticut has jumped 200%.
We're on top of developing news this morning as investigators are looking into what motivated a deadly shooting at an ICE facility in Texas. One detainee was killed, 2 others seriously hurt. Investigators say the suspected shooter killed themselves, and the FBI says it recovered ammunition with anti-ICE messaging on it. The White House and Republican lawmakers say the attack was driven by hatred for immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers here in our state from Connecticut say the violence is disgraceful, cowardly, disgusting, saying that it must stop.
Well, right now, Jimmy Kimmel's return to air monologue is his most watched video on YouTube with more than 23 million views. He also returned with some big TV ratings despite the blackouts in many places, including here in Connecticut. Nexstar, which owns Channel 8, the ABC affiliate in our state, has not brought his show back since his comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. We asked the governor about it, and he says he wants to see the show back on the air.
I think if you're a champion of free speech, you want to make sure government does not get in the way and corporations can't tell us what's appropriate political satire or not. I want WTNH to get them back on the air.
Well, Nexstar is seeking FCC approval for a merger with Tegna, another media company. Today, protesters and free speech advocates are expected to gather outside Channel 8 studios, calling for the return of his show.
And this morning, the suspect accused of stabbing a teenager at a house party in Shelton is preparing to go back on trial. Prosecutors have filed new manslaughter and assault charges against Raul Valley in the 2022 death of Jimmy McGrath. The jury could not reach a verdict on either of those counts, and he was acquitted on the most serious charge of murder. Jimmy's father says he will be back in court for this second trial every day to support his son.
The verdict was, there was not justice for Jimmy, and they're dedicated on getting us justice.
Well, Valley's due back in court next month.
This morning, an Amazon driver may have saved the day in Wallingford. Police say he alerted neighbors and first responders to a garage fire early yesterday morning.
Take a look at these pictures and those flames. The driver was leaving a nearby warehouse at about 4 in the morning when they saw the flames and the smoke. Firefighters were able to put them out quickly before they spread to nearby homes. 2 garages and multiple vehicles were destroyed there, but no one was hurt.
So glad he's called it in. All right, happening today in Bristol, you'll have the chance to hear from the 2 candidates for mayor.
Our partners, WTIC Radio, hosting a debate at Parkside Cafe later this morning. Your reporter, Roger Suzannin, shows us what we can expect. He's live there now. Hey, Roger.
Ladies, you know this is very important when I'm willing to interrupt my breakfast of pumpkin pancakes. I'm trying to get vegetables in to stay healthy, Brian. I'm here with my buddy Brian Shackman. The debate again kicks off at 8 o'clock. We've got Ellen Zapo-Sasu, a Democrat, and the Republican incumbent, Jeff Caggiano, going head-to-head in this debate. And I didn't even realize, Brian, I know it was close back in 2021 when they last ran. 600 votes separated these 2 candidates.
Yeah, it was really close. And, Bristol, obviously, it's one of those classic communities where the biggest percentage of voters are unaffiliated. So they're going to try to go after that independent vote. They know each other very well. We just talked to J.R. Rusgrove, who owns Parkside Cafe, and he says everyone in Bristol knows these 2 candidates, and now they just want to hear from them directly. And as you can see, we already have a good... People are getting their breakfast early, and they're not moving. I apologize to JR because he's not going to be able to flip his tables.
Yeah, JR's doing a nice thing. He's the owner here of Parkside Cafe because, as you mentioned, there could be folks that are coming and not eating because they're coming just to watch.
And there's room for overflow, but honestly, we couldn't do this without him. And he said today's not about whether we make more or less money. It's about for the city of Bristol. And if you know JR and his relationship to the city, he was having restaurants downtown when downtown was struggling. So we couldn't do this, and we're so grateful you guys are here to highlight it, although you're hearkening back to our Darting Across Connecticut days where he gets to eat his way through the morning.
That's right. Brian has to get back to work on the radio, and obviously I've got to do some eating as well. We'll have another check-in with you in about half an hour, but until then, live in Bristol before this debate at 8, I'm Roger Suzanne, and Channel throughout this news. I'll send it back to you.